asked you to focus on what it is you need to heal in yourselves, and what it is you are working on with yourselves, and whether or not it's physical, emotional, psychological. For me, healing in this world, the Kairos world, is an instantaneous type of thing. It's also very impersonal. Now I'm going to talk to you about miracles for a minute. Delicious subject, huh? I was fascinated with how do miracles happen? What are miracles, and how do they happen, and yada, yada, yada. But you know what really a miracle is? A miracle is what Jesus, because Jesus was the great miracle doer, giver. And he always talked about the laws. And he would say, these are the things you can do too if you only paid attention, if you only knew why are you so amazed by this? Why are you so amazed? And what he was referring to was, I am working with the laws. He only worked with the laws. He always worked with the laws, which is why he would always say, you have to forgive yourself. You got to get rid of this stuff. Go and sin no more. Stop lying. Because liars don't heal. Stop it. The quality of the soul has to improve, or healing is not going to happen. Heaven will not compensate for you and then fix you up, and then you go about the business of being the same person that you have always been, that got you into this fix. Now, there's a couple of stories I'd like to just share about this. And one is hello. Hi. The role of yourself and the role of the power of faith, and that role in terms of and self-esteem. To esteem yourself, and the role that this plays in terms of the Kairos realm and healing and this whole journey. When a person is disempowered, you will always look to others for power. You'll always say, do you approve of me? What should I do? You tell me what to do. You'll always do things, say things, so that others do, and you don't have to use your power of choice. You'll get angry at them if it doesn't work out, because it allows you the privilege of saying, I didn't make this choice, you told me to do it. You told me. You told me. But that's because choice is so powerful. But the journey of self-esteem is the journey of you developing choice, developing your power of choice, so that you can take charge of your soul. And so that you can have experiences that go from experiences that are common in the outside world, that happen to everybody, to experiences that only happen to you. Let me say this again. So you can make part of the great transition of consciousness is that you transition from being a being that exists in the world of the tribe, where you only have experiences that happen to everybody, so you feel safe within the collective. Did you see that? I saw that. Well, then I'm safe. Where you measure your sanity by rest assuring everybody saw what you saw. Did you see that? I saw that. Well, then I'm fine. So that your sanity is based on making sure that you are with other people who saw just what you saw, who heard just what you heard, who think just like you. so that you stay safe within this collective pool of consciousness, lest you step out and hear something they don't all heard. I must be nuts. Because I can hear something that you don't. You're crazy, you're crazy. Oh no, what do they think of me? How weak to be shattered like that. No, you better run back inside. Teresa of Avila would say, get in the kitchen and peel potatoes. Go on. You're not yet ready because you don't have a sense of self. A sense of self. What is a miracle? A miracle is something given just to you. It doesn't happen to anybody else. That can't be proven. And if you're somebody who requires a lot of enforcement, a lot of approval, a lot of self-esteem from others, you will run and say, do you really think this happened? Isn't this wonderful that it happened? Can you imagine it happened to me? Me. And all you will do is engage the dark. Someone will say, I don't believe you at all. Did you hear what they said? And you'll use that as a battlefield. And in fact, the greatest gift will make you sick and poisonous, and it will make you enemies. Because they didn't believe you, because it's all about you. And it was never about you in the first place, ever. And I know all of you have heard me tell the story of the man who was healed at the college that I went to, which is now sacred ground, and you all know that story. And are you okay? Do you need some water? But you've all heard that story. Yes. My college was founded by a order of nuns from France, and it is the mother house of the Sisters of Providence in Indiana. It is the first and oldest all-women's Catholic college in the United States. And it is now officially sacred ground because the foundress was made the 8th American saint about 10 years ago now. And so what happened in order to go through sainthood, to get to sainthood, miracles have to be credited to your intervention. And her name was Mother Theodore Guerin. So the college is one part, and then there's these beautiful bridges, and they go over to the convent side. And there's a beautiful church, not a cathedral, but a gorgeous church that sits on the campus. And that's where we will always go for Mass, and just beautiful, just gorgeous. And so this man who had lost 90% of his vision from these awful cataract growths on his eyes, he had gone to the doctor, and he was talking to him about having this eye procedure. And the doctor said, you may gain 5%, but nothing, you're just going to see gray. I mean, it's, he said, it's not going to be worth it. On the way back home, this man who was not Catholic, but he had heard about Guerin being at the stage of beatification, which was the first stage towards sainthood. And he said to his wife, would you stop there? I just want to say a prayer. So they go into the church, and this is exactly the prayer he said. He said, you don't know me. He said, but if you have any influence up there, I'd appreciate you saying something on my behalf. Thank you. That was his prayer. I walked out. I can't say this without really. And the thing is, this happened like during that same week that I began my book tour for Entering the Castle with Teresa. I mean, it was just so perfect on the campus, on my college, which became official sacred grounds. The next morning, he opened his eyes. The cataracts were still there, but he had 20/20 vision. So he goes to his doctor. The doctor says, this is impossible, but that's a miracle. And he said, I'm sure it is, but I see you. Well, they ended up in Rome at the College of Miracle, at the Conference of a Miracle, where they investigate miracles. And it was declared a miracle, and she was declared a saint. And so now people go to the, like they do to Lourdes and like they do to Fatima, and they make pilgrimages there for healing. And, it has, I know, so much to do with you getting to a place in yourself of self-esteem where you can be given an experience that can't be proven, and you needn't have other people validate you or the experience by saying, oh, wow, or are you kidding, or you were never sick in the first place. One of the stages of your transformation is into a higher level of consciousness, is you learning to be quiet. Is you learning to just be quiet. Is to hold yourself steady so that you stop vomiting your grace. That you start recognizing this is sacred stuff and I can't share this. I've been given something. Most people can't keep their mouth shut when their friend says, can I trust you with this? And you say, yeah, and you tell someone else in 10 seconds. You can't even keep your word. And I apologize to those of you who are really good at it, but most people are not. And so this, when it comes to being given an experience that is not provable, the quality of faith that you have to have is phenomenal. Now, when it comes to your healing something in you, whatever it is, and though you may not be terminal now or dealing with something serious, there's a real good chance each of us at some point is going to face something. So whatever you're facing now, how you approach that has so much to do with what the outcome is going to be. And oftentimes my experience is that people approach their crises first through, I want to bargain here. And then they go through this. If I only understand the reason this happened. Have any of you done that? All right, drop it. It's garbage. What do you mean the reason? Here's the reason. It happened. I just gave you the reason. God does not owe you a reason for anything. Get it straight. It happened, because that's like saying, I'm so good. How could something bad happen to me? I'm just so good. My goodness. How did this happen? It should happen to those bad people. Because I'm a good people. I'm on the good team. Look, guys, life is the breaking down of life and the repair of it. It just happens. And that's all there's to it. When I first started out, I used to think, yeah, it's all about negative thoughts, and I don't believe a thing of that. I don't believe a thing of that anymore. Not a thing. If that were true, everybody in Washington would be sick. Everybody in Moscow would be sick. But they're not. They're healthier than hell. I don't believe any of that. I think it's so much more complex. There's nothing logical or reasonable about it at all. I think it is a far more complex journey. I think that what we are given to deal with, half of what we are dealing with comes from the collective, the journey we all share. Like COVID. Cancer is something we all share. It's a collective disorder. It's an epidemic. Blood diseases are epidemics. We are all in this together. We are a fragile, fragile species. And that's what's true. And then we have our DNA makes it particularly susceptible, but the DNA is also collective to a whole lot of DNA that can be traced and tracked and traced and tracked. But it's all big one system because we all breathe together. So you can eat your vegetables and fruits and do whatever you want, but it's a minimal amount of protection. I think what really, really, really matters is the quality of life we live along the way. I think the quality of our choices may keep activation of these negative things from happening. To some extent. Okay, so I wanted to tell you about Padre Pio as another factor here in what I would say is the phenomenon of trying to understand the difference between how this world works and this world. Spiritual, like the sacraments, for example, or holy rituals in any of the traditions, mystical rituals. In our world here, it's so common now to say, I have no use for any of that stuff. I don't have use for any of that stuff. I don't know any parents that take their kids to church or to synagogue or anything. I just don't. I don't know what to say about that. But I will say this, that the body has 7 chakras. And there are 7 holy rituals that go with a lot of religions, like 7 sacraments. There's 7. There's a reason why bar mitzvah, bas mitzvah, but there are reasons why kids go through the rituals of maturation, the rituals of opening the centers of the psyche as sacredly. And there's a reason why our energetic anatomy system needs to be worked back into the understanding of how our physical anatomy works, of how it works. You need to understand how your energetic anatomy works so that you recognize when you are feeling contaminated by a system or what it is your energy actually needs, so that you're not always running like the caboose on your train to catch up. So you don't wait till you collapse before you say, I'm just de-energized. I have to do this for my energy. I have to recharge. Instead, you start living a normal life that includes, I do this because this is what my energy system needs. This is what I need a shower once or twice a day because that's what my body needs, but my energy system needs that. I like to wash off the day. I have to de-energize. I need, as soon as I feel myself on energetic overload, I feel myself getting electrical, like an electrical storm, I need to get away. I need to get away from, because I don't live with all of this much commotion. So I know when I'm electrically overcharged, and I'll say this, stay away from me, gotta stay away. It's not personal. I need to not have a storm in my system, and then I just calm down. Put the storm out. You need to get to know your energy system. Part of what, and I'm going to leave this on this note for you to think about because we're going to open up tomorrow with this. So this is your homework. Part of what I know to be true is that the sacrament of forgiveness, the sacrament of confession, is one of the most healing sacraments ever and one of the most essential to our health. It is that if you have the dynamic between you and another person, without forgiveness, you can't let something go, and you need to be forgiven as much as you need to confess. You need to, what do the police always say? Just wait a little longer in prison and the guy will confess to someone because they got to tell somebody. At the lowest level, they call it bragging. But they got to tell somebody what they've done. And it's a form of confession, right? But it's also what the soul needs. The last rites are about your last confession of saying, do you have anything else you need to say to straighten out, to heal your karma? Because we don't want to carry things with us. But I think of Padre Pio, who I'm sure many of you don't know. Maybe you do know. I don't know if you yes, no, maybe. He was a mystic and a priest and a very holy being and a saint. One of the mega saints, not a small saint. He was a serious mega saint. And the reason you could say so much about him is because there was proof, because he lived in this last century. So there were photographs and there were books and there were all kinds of things. He had the stigmata, and it just blew into his body, his hands and his feet and the side, the wounds of Christ, they call it. And I believe it was 1901 or 1905, something like that. And he had it for exactly 50 years. He lived in San Giovanni Rotonda, Italy, where his monastery still is, where the monastery where he was still is. About 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I got a book out of the clear blue, from an Irish nun who said, I thought maybe you would like this. She wrote the book. She had been his Padre Pio secretary. And she said she wrote the book because the stories about him were so incredible and exaggerated. And she said what was really the truth was remarkable enough. And so I decided enough of their stories. This was the truth. And in it, part of her task was, she was a polymath, so she spoke multiple languages. And so she translated his journals from Italian to English to whatever. And one of the things that Pio could do was bilocate. He could be two places at once. Now, here we go. That I can explain to you tomorrow. I have to make sure you come back. But Pio could be two places at once. And this would happen, huh? Don't be ridiculous. Can I do that? Would I be here? I'd be in Vegas gambling. Be good. Right. Can I do that? I am such a grounded, ordinary mortal. It's not funny. I'm a great act. Okay. But Pio would be, when he saw for all of his gifts, here's another thing. He heard confession. He felt that he was here to hear confession. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Pio believed that for all the many gifts God gave him, he was here to hear confession. And I'll tell you something, for all the times, the long length that I have taught about the role of healing, about the role of this, I never went near confession until I read Pio, until he came into my life. I didn't go near it. I just, because it was so Catholic and so, and I didn't go near it. And then I was inundated with Pio, out of the clear blue, and including this book. And that's when I went, oh my God, how did I not see this? How did I not see this? And Pio, this nun wrote that Pio would, for all of his gifts, he believed that his whole role in life, his charism, was only to hear confessions. That's it, was to hear your confession. Because he saw that darkness could have such a hold on people that you became an instrument of darkness. Even if you didn't want to, it was just too late. Your weakness was so strong. And without going to someone who had the power to break that cord, you would just simply get up and lie again. You would lie again. You would deceive people again. You would use people again. Even if you didn't want to, you simply belonged to the dark. You simply belonged to the dark. And so how many of these people would go in there and say, I want to stop, but I can't? And Pio had the grace that just broke. And sometimes he'd be in there and he would encounter a direct encounter with the devil that would say, the next one is mine. You leave him alone. He's mine. And that was the demon. Yeah. And that Pio actually did hand-to-hand combat with the devil in his room. And he would be just broken up and beaten up. And I can't explain that. I do not understand that. I do not. But that was Pio. But what was so remarkable was that these people who had their confession heard by him were so transformed by being released from the hold that darkness had on them, that they didn't want to leave that church. They didn't want to leave him. They felt that they were born anew, that they were somehow relieved from the dark. And part of what the dark did was it made them fear their own life. It made them fear their own life. It made them think, oh, I'm just unattractive. I'm just this, I'm just that. That's how the dark talks to you. It makes you diminish the power of your own life. Oh, I could never do this. Oh, Jesus, I can't do this. That's how the dark talks to you. That's how the dark. Oh, I can never do the right thing. I can never do the thing that will help me heal. I can never do the thing that will help other people heal. Oh, no, let me diminish myself. You want to know how the dark talks? That's how it talks. That's how it talks. It's not some gargoyle in the corner that turns around and splits, what do you say that? It's pea soup, or whatever the hell that was. It is this. It talks to you in subtle ways. Oh, you'll never succeed at that. You just stop it. What do you think you are? Oh, what will they say? What will they say? It always gets your weakest link. It comes in like a bad tooth. That's how it does it. Well, such a bad mother. You're such a bad mother. You're such a bad mother. And it leans on you. Gets you like this, but especially, what did my beloved Teresa say of Avila? It's like a reptile that gets in.
It's a reptile.
Reptile that gets into your psyche. And reptiles see best at night. So that's when they come crawling. That's when they come crawling. And it makes the impossible when heaven says, I'll come and heal. I'll get your son. I'll come and heal. Shh. So when you pray and you say, I'm going to sleep, you take the night shift. Wrap him up. I'm going to sleep. Do for him what I cannot do. And I'll take care of the rest. Okay? You pray like that. So confession is something that when you are filled with that kind of darkness, it will make it very difficult for you to feel what it is to truly love yourself. To truly love, to truly feel like it is that love is the easiest and most abundant thing you have to give away. Because that's all you're made of is this light. That's all you're made of. There's nothing else. Everything else is an illusion. And the more light you have, the more you give away, the more you just let it channel. All you do is heal. You heal by walking down the street and you don't get it. Let your light shine upon wherever you go.